Everyone. How are you all doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Excited to publish Sentry to JSR today. Hopefully.
I hope so too. The last time I've tried it, there was some roadblocks. Maybe they've changed now, but let's try to get it working. I'm happy to do anything.
Yeah. Let's just give people another minute here to join. If you want to watch. Andy, are we recording this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Leo? Yes.
He's
Okay. Cool.
He's gonna record it. Yeah, I can't. Before my network is still crashing constantly on my desktop, so I can't.
Cool. Okay.
By the way, I have a colleague in this call. His name is Abhijit Prasad. On Discord, he's Abhi Prasad. We could also add him to the call because, yeah.
There we go. Hello.
Hey, what's up? Hey.
What? Where are you two based?
I am in chilly, frigid Toronto, Canada right now.
Ooh.
Just being hit with this polar vortex, and we're all kind of freezing, but otherwise pretty good here.
I'm based in the chilly Viennese part of Austria, so not as cold as in Canada, but also probably way darker and later than.
Yeah, I'm based usually in the Netherlands, but currently in Italy. So I have the same understanding. It's very dark outside.
And yeah, I'm
Cool.
in the Netherlands, and I don't see anything outside. It's pitch black.
Cool. Yeah, let's get started. So, how do we want to do this? Do you guys want to screen share and try to publish from your machines, or do we do it from one of our machines?
Totally happy to screen share. Just started.
Cool.
Right.
Cool.
I have our repository open.
Okay. So I guess where do we start? I think you have a mono repo with a bunch of packages in it, right? So probably
correct, yeah.
What's the lowest common denominator package that you have?
Yeah, so maybe I'll quickly explain on our repository a bit. We're basically using our package manager as Yarn, if that's relevant, Yarn v1. And then historically we used Learner, which is now I guess NX, so just as a monorepo manager. It all works pretty well with very little issues with it. And then like we have a packages folder with all of the packages that we publish. It's quite a bit. I forgot how many it is exactly, but around 30, I believe. It's like 30 packages that represent the hierarchy of like SDKs and lower level utilities we have. It pretty much is all based on the core package, like the lowest level package we have. And then on top of that, we have SDKs like the browser package or the node package, which are then again dependent on dependence of Next.js, for example, or like higher level abstractions. Okay. I think that makes sense. So all of our code is pretty much all of our code is written in TypeScript, and we transpile it using Rollup and with various Rollup plugins with various settings. It's not too complicated actually. For transpilation, we're using Sucrase. That's relevant. Types are of course generated by TypeScript, and maybe I'll quickly share how the packages look when they're built, because that's I guess interesting for us today. I need to run the build, of course, so bear with me for a second. Should already be done actually. Right, so it looks like this. So we're outputting 4 different folders inside our build folder, which is then published. We have the CJS folder, which contains like all of our code in CJS. The ESM folder, the same for ESM. We don't have MJS endings here. I don't know if that's relevant. However, we have a package JSON in here that defines type module. That works for our case. I don't think it's the cleanest solution or whatever. We haven't had any problem.
As per the spec, it technically works because it has the package.json and the node resolution should look it up. We do it to maximize bundler compatibility.
Yeah. Correct. And then we have 2 types folders. You may ask, okay, why do we have 2 types folders? We wanted to have broad compatibility with TypeScript versions, so we are down compiling our types using, what is it called? Downlevel DTS, I believe is the library. So we're basically just taking whatever's in here and downlevel it to the 3.8 folder. And maybe for the sake of completeness, referencing all of this is our package JSON. Of course, the classic ones right here, just pointing to the CJS and ESM stuff, pointing to the types, and then also the exports field here. Again, just pointing to the relevant files. And then for the down-level types, we have this condition for versions lower than 5.0, which I believe is our current TypeScript nature. I think that's about it. What maybe is relevant for us is that we probably cannot publish our TypeScript code directly. I think this is something that JSR encourages to do, if I'm not mistaken. We cannot publish our TypeScript code directly because it's not intended to be used as such. We have a few magic strings in there that get replaced during compile time, so that's not a possibility. Of course, we maybe could like do some special transportation for JSR that
I think that's
outputs.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. In its most basic form, we can probably publish the ESM contents of the package or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So I think probably the easiest thing to do here is, I mean, there's a lot of packages. Let's start with one. Let's start with just publishing the core package. I think probably the best thing to do is, just publish the JS files and then make sure it's linked to the types correctly. And I would call it success if we see like auto-generated docs based on the types.
That sounds good.
And then if we have more time, we can see if we can get the other link it together with other packages as well. Cool. So I guess first step is you create a package on JSR.io.
Probably share my browser too. 1 second. It's right.
Yeah, I can see that.
I guess, do we want to create Sentry? I don't know if that's still available.
I think I have the Sentry namespace, so let me invite you.
Awesome.
Okay, I sent you an invite. It probably goes to your email.
You can click on your account thing at the top
Oh,
right,
okay.
and it'll go up there as well. You have to refresh first.
Here. Awesome. Okay, there's my experiments apparently. Or is it? Or is it maybe Albi's experiments? Okay, publish a package. Click the Sentry namespace. Let's just name it core, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's step one. So let's start, I think, with the JSR.json. You're not doing anything too specific.
So I'm just creating JSON, pasting that in here. Is there something like a schema you could use?
There is, yes.
Okay, maybe let's do that later. Doesn't have to be now. I think our current version is actually the first alpha for a new major. Yes, let's just use that. Right. What we pick as the export?
Yeah, so I think probably you only have one. Actually, you're still sharing your browser, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course.
No worries. So I think probably like build ESM index.js. I think that's what you were exporting in the package JSON, right?
Correct. Yes. Is that correct? Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, that sounds good.
And you can actually remove the license field in that JSR JSON. It'll pick it up automatically from your license file.
Oh, perfect. Do we have a license file in here?
We do. We have it for every package.
Nice.
I would
Okay,
hope so.
Cool. So I think next thing you can try to do is run npx JSR publish, and it's probably going to complain, but that's fine.
I think that was my experience last time. Let's see. Is there anything sensitive gonna pop up if I run the command?
No.
Okay, awesome.
Cool.
What is the error?
Okay, actually scroll to the bottom. The bottom error was the last one,
Okay.
the correct one. So the error here is use the JavaScript module without type declarations as an entry point. And the issue here is that, well, actually, so you could publish like this, JSR just wouldn't be able to generate any docs, and also users wouldn't have any types. So probably you don't want to do this. So what you need to do is you need to link the type file that you have to the JS file. There's a couple ways you can do this. The easiest one for now is if you go into the index.js file that you generate.
The JS file or the declarations?
The JS file.
Okay.
Let's muck about with the build output a little bit, and then we can clean this up later. So if you, at the top of the file, add a comment, this could be a block or a line comment, at ts-self-type.
ts dash.
Self.
Sorry, what? Self.
Dash type. And then equals, and then a quote.
Is it a path to
quote,
the?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then it's a relative path to where the types are.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think you're missing a dot on between the D and the TS there.
Oh, you're right.
Cool.
This is probably gonna break source maps now, but we'll live with it.
So actually, one thing you can do, you can put it as a block comment on the first line before the export, and then it doesn't break source maps. Well, it breaks source maps for the first export line, but that doesn't matter because like source maps are line based and not byte index based. So a bit of a hack.
Love it. Source maps. Okay.
Cool. So if you run,
will this work probably, right?
Yeah, this should work.
Okay, I'm gonna try again.
Cool. Okay. And then the other errors here are about excluding the files that it wants to publish, because by default it doesn't publish things that are in your git ignore, and you build out directories in your git ignore. So if you go into your JSON, so actually you can either click on this link here and it'll show you what to do, or I can just tell you. You have to add like either publish.exclude or a publish.include to explicitly include all the files you want to publish, or you can like do a negative exclude, which will like unexclude the build directory that the git ignore excluded. Does that make sense?
Right. So we probably want to do an include on all the type declarations, right?
Yeah. You want to do all the JS files and the type declarations.
What is the option called? Is it publish.include
publish,
or?
publish, and then publish is an object, and then include is a field in the object.
Here we have the include and field types.
You can actually just do build /type/. You don't even have to do the full blob thing at the end.
Awesome.
And then you probably also want to do JSR.json and build ESM, and probably if you're doing include, you have to specify everything, and if you do the negative exclude, you only have to like unexclude things that were excluded by the
okay.
that get ignored.
So CJS is irrelevant, probably, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This should work, right? Let's see.
You may also have to do the JSR.json and the license file actually.
All right.
I thought we auto detect the license file.
Yeah, but I think you still have to upload it.
Oh yeah.
Wait, now I deleted the ESM. Sorry.
No worries.
It's always like me and Abi did a stream once on Twitch, and I still remember when we just did pair programming on Twitch just for fun, and I still remember when I clicked the start streaming button, my IQ legit halved for the duration of the stream. It was embarrassing, but at the same time pretty funny, and the productivity of the company went to an all-time low, I think. All right, it still complains if uncommitted changes. I mean, that tracks.
So either you can commit them, or you can pass a flag to ignore that warning.
Yeah, you can run with -- allow dirty.
Oh, it even says it in blind.
That's the whole streaming thing.
Okay, wanted me to, yeah. Cool. I can approve. Want to approve? I guess it's I can only write the package once, like in npm, right?
Yeah, so you can only write that version once. So if you want to like,
yeah, can we yank packages from the registry?
you can yank versions, yes, but you still won't be able to republish them then.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, since probably not a lot of people are gonna use our alpha for v9, I think it's fine. Cool. That seemed to have worked. I remember there was some sort of like score JSR.
Yeah,
our package, right?
That's on the third tab, but actually it's not going to show up here because we only get scores for stable versions, and this is unstable.
That's
but what you can do is
unlucky.
if you go back to that specific version, and then click on the docs tab, you should be able to at least see whether you just click on that card exactly, and then click on the docs tab. It should have at least picked up all the docs. Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Also, it shows all of the stuff that leaks into our API that I'm not happy about. Great. Cool.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that was pretty fast. Surprise.
Right. So in theory, if we wanted to automate this process, I guess the thing we needed to do is, okay, this is pretty straightforward. But there's this right here. So we technically need to add a banner into our output.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Is there some sort of drawback in doing this?
No.
Okay.
This will only be picked up by JSR and Dino. Like anything that uses that like doesn't do sibling d.ts detection. Like usually when you have a JS file, it'll pick up the sibling d.ts files in Node, but Dino and JSR don't do that. So yeah, this has no side effect.
Okay, awesome. If we, I don't know if that's relevant, but I'm thinking about, I don't know, Next.js or whatever. If we have a directive or anything here, would it need to come before or after? Probably before,
Good
right?
question. I don't know. I have to check.
I guess we can just try it out.
Yeah, exactly. I think like it'll definitely work if it's before. It may work if it's after. I'd have to check. And also, if you need it to work after, that's absolutely something we can make work.
Okay. I guess one point of feedback is it would be amazing if this would be allowed, similar to the source mapping URL comment, like somewhere in the file, maybe down at the bottom or whatever. That way, like it for sure doesn't mess with source maps. It would make tooling a bit easier, but at the same time, whatever.
Or I mean, if we can add a separate types export to the JSR config, or config.
Yeah, so that's like one thing we try to avoid. Like sort of during module resolution, we sort of want the entire module resolution to be described just by the files themselves, and not by like config files, because that means less probing. And if we like have we'll look into it. I think what we can definitely do though is we could pick this up automatically if you already have it specified in your package JSON, for example. If you already have a typed link in your package JSON, we could associate that and then sort of inject it on upload. We already do that for a couple other things.
Yeah, I mean that's probably. Oh yeah, I mean that's probably also the easiest way to support this types version thing that we have going on. I think it's a very, very niche. I mean, not many people are downloading a TypeScript, but just like we want to be as compatible with as many people as possible. So we're not gonna. It's not going away anytime soon for us.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right. Is there any way we could see the score for this version already?
I don't think
I'm
kind of on the hook now. I wanna
really
see.
don't think so. One thing you can do is you can publish at 0.8. It's not
0.8.
I mean 8.0.0. Like a full version that's not an alpha. It's awful, but then you can see the score. That's the only way, because we don't.
You could also publish a 0.0.0 and then yank it immediately, and then you also get a score.
Is will the 0.00 count as a stable version?
I think so. Yeah, I think we only count non-pre-releases of the.
Yeah, everything that
only called pre-releases of the stable version.
Yeah, anything.
I hope I have your buy-in. I'm gonna just pollute our.
What's the worst that's gonna happen?
Someone's gonna use this.
I can already see the issues tomorrow morning. Doesn't work.
If you yank it immediately, then no one can use it.
I think it'll be good. Okay, that was published. Over the score. I want to see that. Oof.
That's pretty bad.
Okay.
So I think you could probably get this up pretty quickly by adding a README.
Yeah, let's do it. So README ready, right?
And actually,
our READMEs aren't too useful. I guess that would also be cool to be automatically included. I'm not sure. What else is here? As examples in the README or module doc.
We don't have it in core,
add an example? Examples, you mean?
Yeah, like you have a code block in there that shows you anything.
Yeah, we don't. We have it for the other packages, but we don't have it for core.
I guess people. It's pretty rare that people should be installing this. Right? There are use cases for it if you're a power user, but most of them no.
You should have an example for the power user use case. No,
it's too big, the package, to have one specific example. But yeah, okay. So it's just the code block that we need to add, right? to satisfy this one. Okay, interesting.
And then I think this has module docs and all entry points. Is Leo, does having the README satisfy this for the index? I think so, right?
I would be surprised.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we did handling for that, but I don't think so. Probably something we should
set. Interesting. To satisfy this, we would basically have to add a something right here.
No, to the d.js file. You would add it to the declarations.
Oh, to the declarations. Okay. Will TypeScript?
So actually, you would have it in the original. You would have it in the original TS file, and then TypeScript would just copy it over.
Okay. Will TypeScript
every file, basically
every entry point? No.
Yeah. Just.
Oh yeah. In this case, yeah, you only have one entry point. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
TypeScript will actually. I'm relatively sure that it will also show this when you hover over a specifier on an import. Like when you import at Sentry/core and you hover over at Sentry/core, it'll show you that.
That's actually, why don't we build this? However, I wanna copy this line first. Feeling buffer didn't update. Yeah. So what is in the type declarations now? That would be interesting. Okay, so we have it here, and if we go into like, I don't know, browser, here, and we import something from core. If I hover here, okay, it doesn't show.
I think if you hover over the specifier itself. So like at Sentry/core. Oh, okay. No,
okay. Maybe
that's something we do in.
You know what?
In Dino. It's also possible this works in like. Yeah, it's possible this works in like some. You know how TypeScript is. It's very peculiar about when it decides to show something or not.
Yep. My
the other place. No, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. My number one gripe is @ignore in JS doc not working. I would love to just hide away some of the API we expose, but it's not possible.
I mean, if @ignore is supported in JS doc comments, so if you have those, then they should.
In JSR, you mean, or in TypeScript? Because in TypeScript stuff still. Yeah, in TypeScript stuff still shows up and I hate it.
Oh yeah.
But if JSR hides it, that's perfect. That's great. Cool. Now, if we publish it again, assume we're happy.
Well, you need to maybe change your version.
Oh, you're right. Totally right. Let's just spam everything.
Yeah, one feature we do want to add in the near future is the capability to delete versions that have like basically zero usage. So if they have like less than 5 downloads and no dependents, then you would be able to delete them just because people want to just throw a package up and see what it looks like.
Yeah, that tracks. Does NPM allow that? I think so, right?
But yeah, I think they allow it for like the first 72 hours if you have less than 200 downloads or something like that.
Honestly, I don't think we've ever done that.
Yeah, I think like for 99% of cases, it's much better to yank, because like then people that already have it in the lock file could still download it.
True. Okay, so we've satisfied this one. This we haven't. Yeah. As examples in README. Okay, that I guess makes sense. There's docs for most symbols. So I guess we need to clean up our JS doc a bit. Slow types. Would you mind explaining to me what slow?
Yeah, I sure, but the reason that should be green. Slow types is when you have when you're using TypeScript. Do you know what isolated declarations is by chance?
Yeah, it's pretty new, right? We thought about turning it on for a repo just to like speed up types for users, I believe, but I don't think we can do that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So slow types is similar to isolated declarations. It's a little bit less strict. It essentially requires that for all files that are, or for all symbols that are visible through an entry point, they have to, like, functions have to specify the return types explicitly, for example. And the reason this is done is because when you usually upload TypeScript code to JSR, we don't run TSC on that TypeScript code to generate the type declarations. We have our own thing that generates type declarations, and it can't do function return type inference. For you, this is irrelevant because you're already providing your own d.ts files. So, we don't have to generate any types for you. So this should be green. But yeah, if you're publishing a package that uses like TypeScript directly, then you have to make sure that your return types are specified.
Okay, so is this effectively a bug or a decision you made to not? Okay, this is a bug. Okay.
No, this is a bug. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, we have a lint rule in our repo that forces everybody to explicitly add return types to everything.
Is it just about return types though?
It's
like
there's a bunch of stuff to it, but it's for every like publicly accessible export. We actually are like really strict on the types for them.
Yeah, like so types is also not just about function return types. That's just one example. Like also if you like export a constant, for example, you have to explicitly type that constant unless it's like a literal string, in which case we're okay with inferring it. But like if you have a constant that you're exporting and it's an object, you have to explicitly annotate that object or use as const on it or something.
Everything that would cause like any type check or whatever to go into different modules is considered slow. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can like read some examples at the bottom of that slow types page, but it's not super relevant page.
Okay. Description, I assume is just a. Okay, this is just something we said here. Can we do this in the JSR.json?
Not right now. There's no open issue about it though.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
And then the runtime compat. Similarly, you cannot specify in the JSON right now. You have to specify in the file. I feel like somebody's already specified.
I did it.
Oh, okay. Haha.
Yeah.
Because it does not default to everything supported.
Awesome. Cool. It's funny that you have this in two check marks. As prominence. Like it should be published from a verified CI/CD. Okay. NPM has something similar, right?
So in JSR, it's actually much simpler than on NPM. Like the way that you publish JSR is that you can publish it from GitHub Actions just by running npx JSR publish. Like you don't have to specify any tokens or anything. The way you do that is inside that settings page of your package, you can specify a repo that you're like trusting to publish from, and then actions run from that repo can publish.
Interesting. Okay.
And if you do that, so if you publish from GitHub Actions, then it will automatically pick up the provenance information from GitHub Actions and like publish that into a transparency log as part of the publishing process.
That's super interesting. Actually, I think this fits our, how do I say, supply chain security model within the company pretty well, because we have one repo that does all of our publishing within GitHub Actions, and this repo is pretty much locked down on who can change stuff in it. So only like managers and security staff and or like other approved staff can approve releases. And I guess if we only allow that repo to publish JSR packages, that fits the model pretty well.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is like like the repo is attached to the top, right? At like the top, like if you scroll up, Luca. Yeah, like you get the repo on the top, but for us, I set this to
that was a different repo?
Yeah, it would be a different repo because we have this publish repo that has all of the secrets and it's like intentionally locked down, and we have this isolation on purpose.
Can these be different?
That's an interesting use case. They cannot currently be different.
Because oh, sorry, yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, so for our case, we kind of have this unified publish tool called Craft. Because we have so many different SDKs in all of these different languages, like it's more than just JavaScript, it's also Ruby, Python, Rust, and so on in all these different ecosystems. And so therefore, kind of there's an SDK repo and it consumes like a Craft config to then execute the actual action of publishing on a separate repo. So there's like this like completely different CI environment, completely different set of secrets, permissions, all of these kind of things. And so all publishing is essentially done in that lockdown CI config and not in like the actual GitHub actions of the repo itself.
Makes sense. Yeah, actually, so this doesn't seem super difficult for us to support, essentially like specifying a different repo for what is shown versus what you can actually publish from. Maybe if you open an issue about this, we can look into supporting that.
Which like an hour would that be?
JSR, yeah, that one. Okay, cool. The entire registry is open source.
So bright.
Actually, there's another fun security feature you may find interesting. If you go to your org settings on GitHub, or sorry, on JSR, like the scope settings, and you go to the settings here, there's an option that lets you actually lock down the scope to only be allowed to publish from GitHub Actions. Which means that like, that one, enable, require publishing from CI. Which means that like you cannot publish locally even if you wanted to, which is like has a good synergy with this. If you sort of lock it down to only allow publishing from this one repo, and then turn this on, then all publishing is guaranteed to go through this.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, I think we'll probably enable this once we have like the releases automated. I had one question I just thought of. This is probably the easiest packet for us to publish simply because it doesn't have any sort of like, or not too much magic and no dependencies whatsoever. If we package this with dependencies, is there anything we need to consider?
So if your dependencies are specified in package JSON and they're like external NPM dependencies, you don't have to do anything. They just get picked up automatically. There's currently a bug where we don't pick up optional peer dependencies. I don't know if you have any optional peer dependencies anywhere.
Okay, in what way is that problematic? The optional peer dependencies, because I believe
we just don't pick them up.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have a regular peer dependency, that's fine. It's just optional peer dependencies that are problematic, and they're just problematic because there's a bug somewhere right now that means the JSR tool doesn't pick them up properly.
This stuff, right? Not picking them up means what exactly? Like they're
like you just can't publish. It'll say like cannot resolve solid.js/router during publishing.
It doesn't let us publish. Okay, that's good to keep in mind. But other than that, like as long as we publish our like package hierarchy in order, that should be fine, right? And any other dependencies are also fine. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So the one case that you need to consider is when you have other JS, like when you have dependencies. So you have Sentry core published to npm, right? And if you specified in your package JSON as a dependency, and you like go publish, I don't know, the Dino package, which has a dependency on Sentry core, it'll go use Sentry core from npm because that's what's specified in your package JSON. So if you want the hierarchy to work, that like all of the Sentry packages, it uses the JSR copy, you have to like override in your JSR.json that it imports those from JSR instead, rather than from
Okay. How would I do that?
You put an imports field in here.
Okay.
And then you could do like at Sentry, or at Sentry core.
Okay, and
then on the other side, you have to put JSR : at Sentry, whatever, with the version constraint that you're depending on.
With the version, okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be a bit annoying, I guess.
I think that's fine. We already have like logic to update version fields and whatever. The thing, like what I thought of, like before you just explain this, we have an explicit order of in which we publish packages. So this is for npm, of course, and like we start with our types package, which is in theory the most isolated one. Then we have core, browse utils, like so on and so forth. What we could do is maybe do a similar thing for JSR.
So let me interrupt you though. There's a fun thing because JSR does this automatically actually. You can run JSR publish at the workspace root, and then it will publish all the packages in order. Like it goes and builds the graph locally of in what order it needs to publish things, so they don't. So like, yeah.
Interesting.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
And it'll just publish everything. To do that, though, there's one more file you need to set up. Go ahead.
I guess my question is kind of moot. I wondered what happens if there's like an error in the middle of the publishing process. Because right now we just fail at some point and then like half of our packages are published, which is slightly problematic. Will JSR handle this in some special way where it does it transactionally or?
It doesn't do it transactionally, but what it does is if you then go run publish again, it'll start from where it left off. So it won't try to republish everything that's already done. So one thing that we see people doing is they just run like JSR publish. Well, I mean, yeah, you can essentially like restart your GitHub Actions run, and if it failed halfway through with a temporary failure, it'll just continue right where it left off.
Awesome. You mentioned that we need to do something in order for this workspace publishing work. What is it?
Yeah. So you need to rename your JSR JSON file to Dino.json because we're going to make use of yeah, well.
Yeah, we need to fix that, but yeah.
And then go to the root of the package. The root of the workspace.
Sure.
And add another Dino.json there.
Sure.
Yet another config file.
It's fine. We introduce so many for our users at this point.
And then at the root here, you don't need any of that. You just need to specify workspace as a field.
Cool.
Angular, yeah. And then that's an array of the packages.
Like this, for example, or?
Exactly. And now if you run npx publish at the root, it'll do them all at once. And actually, it'll also only prompt you to authorize, like in the browser once, all of them at once.
Okay, that's very neat. Awesome. Okay, cool. I just realized, by the way, that we have been talking for 45 minutes. Sorry about taking so much time.
No worries.
Awesome.
That's great.
We don't have a time constraint here.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool if we can, if JSR can just read the workspace from the root package.json, because most people configure that for their yarn or PNPM workspace.
Yeah. I think that's something we do. Like right now, also to use the workspaces, you can't use JSR.json. You have to use Dino.json as the config file name in your package. But I think we could just make this work with package.json and JSR.json too. Leo, do you want to open an issue for that?
Yeah, sure. Let me do that. There probably actually already is one, but
no. Let's implement it.
I am out of questions. My 2 action items are opening an issue for having a different repository to publish from, and actually implementing JSR for us.
That's great.
I imagined this to be way harder. The last time I tried, there were some like error messages that sounded all very scary and unfixable. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this. But now it's like super easy. Let's see.
Great. I'm happy it's gotten easier.
Yeah, I think
if you have any other questions, just feel free to ping us whenever.
The provenance got a lot better too. The fact that you can actually pick a repo is nice. I think before it just forced whatever the repo was from the or like whatever the repo was that was getting published. So I remember that was a blocker as well for us, because then we were also thinking about all these like craft and separate publishing process kind of thing too.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out and figuring this out with us.
Sure. Thank you guys. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.